Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. You are listening to the Sarah Berry Show. And if this is your first time, I am so grateful that you are here. If it is not, then you are going to get excited when I tell you that our friend Millie Barra is back for another episode. And I am just so grateful because I think this is becoming a regular thing. And I don't know if she's coming willingly or if I'm dragging her, but either way, I am so glad that she is here because Millie and I have a good problem of talking too much, and we have topic after topic that we could bring to you that's just full of information that I think applies in so many areas of life. So I'm grateful that she's here today. This podcast will be going out the second week of December. So we are recording early December, and oh my goodness, the holiday frenzy is on. And so today our topic is going to center around goal setting and just being present in the moment. And I know that that is such an easier thing said than done, especially as the holidays continue to get closer. I know that many of you are feeling all the pressures that come with the holiday. Many of you are feeling all the excitement and everything in between. So we are going to dive deep today into how to just kind of navigate through to 2022, and I can hardly believe that we're there. So to help get this kicked off, I am going to bring Millie on. So Millie, thank you so much for coming back again. And like I said, I hope you're here willingly. We're just so glad to have you. And I just, you're so easy and fun to talk to, and I'm just grateful for your time this morning. So welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, I always enjoy being on here. And yes, it is willingly. We're stuck together for life. And it's an honor to be on this platform with you and be able to reach out to your community. And again, we could talk forever.
Oh my gosh,
These are topics that I am passionate about. So I love sharing and learning and all that good stuff. And of course, we came all festive for this one. If you guys are seeing this on YouTube,
you better jump over to YouTube because it's going to get better. In fact, I'm going to do a countdown here in a second you want to be a part of. But Millie, for anybody that is maybe listening for the first time, will you give us just a quick overview of who you are and what you do, please?
Yeah. So I help women who are stuck in the juggling act between work and home, learn how to heal their anxiety and their emotional overwhelm through holistic, techniques of innovative energy work and mindfulness. And so really, I just have a passion to helping moms feel like they are not here on earth to just be stuck in survival mode each day, but really that they are able to thrive in all areas of their life. And that really begins with connecting within and healing past traumas or past emotional baggage that they have been kind of carrying along with them that are weighing them down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I always say this, but I think if Millie were to wheel around in her chair, there would be a superhero cape hanging off the back because she's so humble and the work that she's doing is so impactful. And like I said, it overlays so much of what we are doing, especially as working moms, either inside the home or outside the home. Gosh, we wear lots of hats and we have lots of things that we're juggling right now. So Millie has some very interesting approaches to kind of help with the juggling act because oftentimes it's not going anywhere. It's just your mindset and how you navigate through that. So that being said, since we wear lots of hats, don't you think today, Millie, that we better wear a certain kind of hat today? I just feel like we should be kind of festive. What do you think?
I think so. And I don't have mine right now, but I will pretend that I am putting it on.
Okay, so here we go, guys. Go to YouTube and you'll just have to see. And my style meter just went up. I'll just say it just looks fantastic, but I feel festive today. So let's jump in. I don't know about you. I'm in the product business. I do DIY, home decor, handmade gifts, all of those things. So I feel like there's always a frenzy starting around just after Halloween, and it just picks up the pace until January 1st for shop early, buy early, plan ahead, do all these things. But oh, Millie, 2021 has been the season of do it all earlier and do it all with much more frenzy and much more panic. And I'm just noticing that a season that's busy anyway has been completely on steroids this year. And people are, there's a lot of joyfulness and things, but I just feel like there's this underlying current of what do I need to buy? Obligation, what do I have to do early? And I feel like it's much sooner and it's in full force this year, in compared to seasons past. Are you feeling that way?
Yeah, it's funny though. Like my mother-in-law, even the other day, she like sent me, she's actually over 2 weeks ago. I want to be on task. I want to get Christmas shopping. Send me your list, and it's
Yeah.
everybody's kind of getting this sense. And I think part of it is, living in the world we live in right now, having been in a pandemic where things like came to a screeching halt this time of year last year. I think a lot of people, obviously, because this holidays do bring joy and we're trying to like grasp at that, but also then we think that we need to be on top of things, more organized, getting things done quicker to be able to not then battle that overwhelmed feeling we feel around the holidays.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely feeling it. Whether you enjoy the holidays, I also have clients that are saying, yeah, but then the financial burden is creating stress too. So I think there's just this huge amp up as if we're trying to maybe get back last year and recreate something better and bigger this year. I don't know. I don't know if that's where it is, but yeah, it's like to the point where even now talking about, I need to pause and take a breath because you can just feel the energy behind it.
It's crazy. And so, I want to take that and even dig a little deeper because I feel like, December, inevitably, we start thinking about, of course, the end of the year, what we've accomplished, what we'd like to see happen in the future. So aside from just the buy, prepare frenzy that's happening, I'm wondering if you're hearing about goal setting a lot sooner, because I feel like that always happens. It feels like it's always a little closer to Christmas, but oh goodness, it seems like there's an even heavier push to either analyze what you've gotten accomplished this last year. And that's interesting that you say that people are kind of maybe feeling like they need to catch up. I definitely sense that. But does it feel like we're putting even more emphasis on goal setting and closing the year and starting the new one? Does that seem like that's popping up sooner?
I think so. I mean, obviously, we are working on the calendar, right? We see this deadline of 2021 coming up. And oftentimes with that going into the holidays, not only do we have the push of holidays and seasonal things, but it's like, oh man, like we're hitting this deadline, and people are looking, just like you said, back at the year and going, gosh, like I'm not where I want to be. So maybe all of a sudden they're trying to push harder, whether it's towards business goals or financial goals to close out things by the end of the year. Or they're looking into 2022 and putting a pause on everything right now and saying, oh, I'll worry about that next month.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, like you mentioned at the beginning of this, is we're going to talk about really the gift of actually being more present in the moment. Because really, when we're focused too much on the future, oftentimes that can raise our anxiety. But when we're looking backwards at our past, that increases our depression at times because we're looking back at all the things that we should have done or we wish we would have done. And I really want to encourage everybody, like, what if you actually realize that you are exactly where you need to be in this very exact moment?
Wait a minute. So we can't control a lot of things, Millie? Is that what you're telling me? Wait a minute, but I have my Santa hat on. That means I'm
not saying that we don't have control, but there is a master plan about everything. And the choices and the decisions we make along that path lead us to different pathways. And for me, I really believe that, this life purpose that we have is more than just getting up every morning, doing something, going to sleep. Like we all serve a purpose. And we come here to this earthly experience to learn lessons. And so the hardships or the things that we wish were different are actually lessons to ourselves to teach us, to help us grow and level up, and also then have impacts and a ripple effect on other people. And oftentimes when we focus too much on all the things that we should be doing or that we wish we would have done, that can dim our light and create us to be in a state of frustration and imbalance, so that we're really not showing up on purpose in the present moment. So
every time I talk to Millie, you guys, I have just figured out that I need a notebook and a pen by me, because she always says something that it's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. I want to rewind just a second where you said, if we worry about the future, that causes
anxiety.
And if we worry too much about the past, that causes
depression.
That is a heck of a concept, you guys. I hope that you're going to write that down, because I have never really thought of it that way. If you're not living right now, you're drumming up something that's bringing negativity.
Well, and you're putting a lot of energy around things that are, I mean, you do have some control over, don't get me wrong. Like, you have the choices to make changes, you know, whether it's setting goals, obviously New Year's resolutions, people are wanting to lose weight, get fit, you know, all these different things. But the thing is if you're putting too much energy and worrying about the future versus being present in the moment, you don't have a lot of control about the what ifs, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I really say focus on like the how, like what is something you can do right now in this moment that will help you reach that goal.
Yeah.
And again, there's a time and season for everything. And, you know, off camera, Sarah and I were just talking about this, but the fact that we are in the podcast where we are the only species that tends to want to speed up during colder winter months versus every other species is hibernating or gathering or in a more of a rest state.
Yeah.
So in some ways, you know, every individual is different. You have to really learn to tune in and feel what's good, and what may feel good today may not feel good tomorrow. And especially as females, you know, I'm actually working with a cycle syncing coach to work on maximizing my productivity. And I've learned so much in it, but the fact that we do not fall into the traditional 24-hour cycle.
Yeah.
We run off of a longer cycle that is like 28-day cycle where our bodies go through an ebb and flow. And so what may feel good for us today isn't necessarily going to feel good tomorrow or in a week. And then sometimes we're pushing our bodies harder than we need to, whether cognitively or physically or even spiritually. And then we actually increase stress in our body, unnecessary, versus if we tune in and listen about, okay, what am I really needing today? Yeah, maybe I am needing to eat that one croissant today.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a really interesting concept that you bring up, because in hearing a lot earlier talk, I should say about goal setting, I feel like there's a couple of different camps. I feel like there's a camp that is saying, close your books, make sure that everything's organized so you can get the data and see. And I'm speaking mainly from a business perspective.
Yeah.
You know, numbers tell a story. Did you meet your marks that you set at the beginning of 2021? And there's kind of this camp of people that are already there. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
Right.
Who has their books up to date? First of all, I would love to. Of course, that's always a goal for the next year for me. So I feel like there's a camp that's all about closing down the year, looking, and I think that's wonderful. And then there's a whole nother camp of people that are like, I hate New Year's resolutions. I don't set them, and they're just a bunch of bunk and they fail. And so I feel like it's really kind of polarizing in a way if you think of it, but it's an interesting topic that you say, listen to yourself, what's going to work for you. And I'm giving myself a little bit of grace. I'm not one that likes to set New Year's resolutions, not to say that I always feel like I would set myself up for failure, which, let's be honest, I love croissants and I'm going to fail every time if that's the goal. But I guess, I don't know, maybe it comes with age and wisdom a little bit, that it's like, wait a minute, we don't have to just start on January 1st, or we don't have to wait till Monday, or, you know, start today if you want to. Why not? And maybe it doesn't have to be this huge goal with all of these metrics and all of these things all spelled out. Maybe it's just to not drink caffeinated coffee and go to decaf coffee. Maybe just start there. And so I think it brings up this interesting concept of habit stacking. Have you heard of this concept? And what are your thoughts about it if you have?
I haven't. As far as habits stacking, I think it's important to, when we go all in and go, okay, January 1st, I am changing my diet. And again, I'm just using the food industry and health industry, because that's one that's obviously where a lot of people go after January 1st.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to start exercising 5 days a week. I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to remove sugar and carbohydrates, or whatever it may be. you're putting a lot on your plate, no pun intended, to be focusing on. And really, when it comes down to, there's a couple things. One, to make it sustainable. One of my favorite books, Atomic Habits, is that you got like 1 degree, you got to just increase a little bit and then stack it on as you master those skills so that you have more longevity. But the other thing too, like I want to just say, obviously, because I'm coming from a standpoint, the fact that our mindsets and energies play a big role in our success in our life, because we have experiences that we experience throughout our lifetime. We have an emotional response to them that then creates our thoughts and our patterns based on that, and based on those beliefs patterns, then tell us how we're going to respond to it. Okay. So even if you're setting all these amazing goals and planning and have all these great ideas, if for some reason you have pre-programming that's saying, oh, nope, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, you're not going to look at what you did last time. Or there's no way you can do that. All these subliminal messages that unknowingly our subconscious mind has created, because it's trying to keep us safe. It's trying to say, oh, don't put yourself out there, because remember last time you did it?
Yeah.
You got hurt.
And January 1st isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you've been avoiding the January 1st deadline for yourself. And I think there's something to be said for that too. So,
yeah. So I think, again, the biggest thing is just awareness, again, connecting with yourself and really asking yourself. And I think part of what happens this time of month is because we're being told everything of what we should be doing or how we should be running. And that may work for somebody else, but it may not work for you.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like your business, yeah, it's good to be organized and on top of things and look at your metrics to see, what worked and what didn't work. But also tune into yourself. Again, I believe that we hold all the answers within ourselves. But it's just a matter of slowing down and being aware, having the awareness to tune into what is going. We all know, we all have those gut feelings. We know what works and what doesn't work. And again, what may be working right now in this moment may not work a week or a month from now. And that's okay.
Right. Well, and I think that's interesting that you say that. Of course, I think the gut instinct, I mean, there's that phrase for sure that we're all familiar with, but sometimes the uncomfortable is okay too.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes as a society, we want to gloss over that or make that part go away. Well, of course, it's going to be more challenging to rewire what you've been saying all along, that no, diets don't work for me, or I hate treadmills, or whatever it is, to your point. That's going to be uncomfortable for a while to say, actually, I feel a lot better after I work out, or gosh, I feel better at the end of the day when I know that I opted out of the cheeseburger when I normally wouldn't have. I think tuning into that, focusing more on the successes and the fact that it's hard to make a change. And once again, just like everything else, I feel like it always starts with mindset. Always. Yeah. Would you agree?
I agree. Well, and I think too is, again, it comes back to having grace for yourself. If you even set these goals for yourself and you're like, okay, I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z. And then you have, it's kind of like the 80-20 or the 90-10 rule, where like 80% of the time you're on point. It's okay for 20% of the time to maybe, and we'll apply this to business. It's okay to be on point and present and visible in your business for 80% of the time, but maybe you need that 20% of the time where you're not posting on social media as much to advertise, or you're taking a breath to make sure you're taking care of your well-being. And again, oftentimes like that one small percentage isn't going to wreck everything else that you did.
Right.
But we put so much energy in the fact of, oh man, I fell off the wagon, or I didn't hit this point. And we put so much energy that actually amplifies that.
Yeah.
And it almost washes out everything else, versus if you go, man, look at how far I've come. Even if you're setting like reflecting on the year, you may not be exactly where you want to be in your business right now, or you may not have set a financial goal of where you wanted, but look at everything you've accomplished.
Yeah.
Maybe you've gotten more visible in your business and getting more comfortable and being out in the open of talking about your offers.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you've just taken the steps to get an email marketing campaign, whatever it may be. Those are all steps to get you. But so often we don't look at the micro steps. We look at the macro, the bigger picture, and go, oh man, I should have done this.
And kind of forget about all the variables that make this year different than
Right.
last year, both positively and negatively, I feel
Right.
like. So, all right. So, I'm going to do this, Millie. We want some practical strategy. How do we stay present when we start to feel those little, and I want to say one other thing before I make you answer that. If you didn't listen to my last episode with Millie, we talked a lot about tradition and how that can be a good and a bad thing, and what being with the family over Thanksgiving can do and bring up sometimes from the past, or just current relationship strains, or positive things even. So I feel like, what do we do about tradition that can actually kind of be a habit of its own, and realizing maybe we don't always have to do it this way, and just being really present and practicing that. Well, we always drive around and look at Christmas lights on December 20th. And you said earlier before we hit record that, well, it's just a day. It's just a day. It's very easy, much easier said than done, but how do we make that mental shift? What are some tips that you can give us for maybe we can do it on December 21st instead of the 20th this year, and just be present when it actually happens, and not get so caught up in January's coming, or we have to do this on this day, or we always have done it this way. Give us some strategy around that when those things pop up.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, couple of things, is asking yourself, like, number one, is this in my control or is it out of my control? I think because a lot of things, we can only control what we can control. We can't control all the variables, and then we can't get stuck in the whole worrying about the what ifs and everything, because again, that will then bring your energy down and kind of get you down the rabbit hole of all that negative self-talk and the worry and all that kind of stuff. So I think the biggest thing is, I'm a huge fan of like kind of a brain dump. Like, really think about, how do you want to feel? Like, how do you want to feel? What do you want things to look like? And really just journal it all out and get it down on paper. Because by doing that, your subconscious mind's going to go, oh yeah, that's how I want to feel. And it's going to start working towards creating it. So again, going back to what I said a little bit ago about awareness, having the awareness to tune in more into how you want to feel, not what you don't want to feel.
Yeah.
Because when we put our energy behind what we don't want to feel, we're actually subconsciously creating that to become a reality.
Oh boy, that's a heavy concept, but you are so right.
Yeah. And I know affirmations and mantras and things are kind of becoming a more aware and bigger thing, but really, again, the power of your mind and, the co-creation of the energy we're putting behind it. It's, for example, oftentimes people go to buy a new car, right? And they go, oh, I really like that Ford Focus.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they keep seeing Ford Focuses everywhere.
That is so true. Yeah, that's so true.
And it's because you're putting your energy, you've brought it to your awareness, and you're putting your energy in it. So if you are wanting to hit a certain health goal or a financial goal, not only just imagine like yourself there, but what does it feel like? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah.
And put the energy behind that. And that is the key to helping it become your reality and really being in the moment. And again, moms, I've said it before, I think almost every single episode that we've done on this podcast, but again, part of it is slowing down and tuning into your needs. And by doing that, and I really encourage, like, just 10 minutes a day, just take a pause, sit quietly, keeping your phone turned off, the TV off, everything, put in some relaxing music, put your feet up, whatever it is, and just be still with yourself. And by doing that, you're helping reconnect to yourself. And you can start tuning into actually asking, okay, what do I really need? What am I really wanting? And again, having grace for yourself, which I know is easier said than done. But again, about having that self-love. Yeah. To know that everything's ever changing, and that's okay.
And we all know deep down, I think we all have that pit in our stomach or just in the back of our mind that we know what's going to help most of the time, but we're so caught up in the busy
Yeah.
and the shuffle of it all that we don't give ourselves a chance to even hear what it is or feel it. And so I'm a huge fan of that. It's as difficult as it is to sit and not think about the laundry while you're having your quiet time, which is also easier said than done. I'm a big fan of that. Just hold still long enough and you will hear it again. You will know what it is really that you need to be doing in this moment. Maybe not the next moment, but you know what you need right now, I think.
Yeah. And if you haven't read the book, The Atomic Habit, I think that's a great starting point for something tangible for people to read. It's on Audibles. And I really think just, again, it's about 1 degree of change. You know, I am somebody who has always struggled with the journey. I always want to get to the finish line as fast as I possibly can. But in reality, there is no finish line.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we are all always changing and things are always changing. And really, it's just about making those 1 degree changes towards what you're wanting. And the one thing too is like, you guys all got it. Like you're doing it. You're living life. And you're doing amazing, as hard as I know it may feel, but like you're doing it and you're having success. I mean, your kids are still alive and, you know, everybody's fed and it's okay. And the house may be messy, but you're doing it. And again, just stop. I'm going to say this again, stop shoulding all over yourself. That word, don't should all over yourself. But really live in the present and make those small degrees of changes of where you want to go and be at peace that you're exactly where you need to be in this exact moment. Even if you feel like you need to be further.
2022 is going to come whether you feel like you're ready or not. Right.
And we all have the same number of hours in the day, you know. It's just, again, where you put your energy towards.
Millie, I just love you. I love to talk to you. I feel like as we're talking, I'm thinking, oh gosh, that would be something we need to talk about that. So I think if you guys are good with it, and Millie, you know, she already said she's willing, so I'm going to bring her back again. I just think it's good to have a person to check in with. You're somebody for me that I do that. And one last point that I want to touch on before we hang up today is accountability's important, you guys, even if it's a tiny goal that you have, or maybe you just are trying to switch that little soundtrack in your mind to be more positive, tell somebody about it. I was joking before we hit record that I said, you know, of course, if you decide that you're going to buy all the cute spandex and start going to the gym on January 1st and you pay out the nose and you hire a personal trainer and you do all these things, of course, yes, they are going to be somewhat of an accountability person to you. And of course, they're going to say, where were you yesterday? You should have been at the gym. But one little thing that I want to encourage you to do is step outside of the regular circle that maybe you have. Millie is really kind of one of those people for me because we're not in the same industry by any means, but so many concepts, so many challenges, so many successes actually kind of overlap. And you would be surprised that if you find just maybe it's your barista that you see on Fridays when you treat yourself to a coffee, maybe that person is enough to check in and say, hey, Millie, how's that goal going that you told me about? You know, I think there's a big misconception that they have to be looking at pie charts of what you're doing. And it has to be almost kind of this negative pester type approach. And I think that just tell somebody what you're interested in doing. Even the smallest thing can really be a game changer. If you're doing this by yourself, you guys, life isn't meant to be lived alone. And especially when you're making a change, I think you need even some more support. Wouldn't you agree with that, Millie?
Yeah, I think so. I always say everybody needs a coach, whatever capacity that may be, business coach, energy coach, you know, life coach, whatever it is. And again, your coach doesn't have to be somebody that you're necessarily paying either. I mean, we all have somebody that maybe we can go to. But just having that connectivity, a sounding board. And again, I encourage you to kind of go outside of maybe the family unit, because sometimes when we go to family members for advice or accountability, sometimes we don't necessarily get the response that feels good, you know. But just having somebody to connect with, you know, we are beings that need that connectivity. And again, I think it's somebody that can offer a little tough love, but also some compassion,
Yeah.
and recognizing that, okay, you had a bad week, but encouraging of like, okay, well, if this is the goal that you're wanting to be accountable for, then you're going to do good the next day,
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, because everything's ebb and flow.
Not everything can be put on a pie chart or on a graph
Yes.
or in a
Well,
QuickBooks ledger.
and obviously your trainer has goals for you, and because that's why you hire them, and they're not saying they're not good. I think that's really important to have, again, like specific coaching per se.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to kind of the overarching theme is there may be a reason like where that tough love feels a little prickly to you inside.
Yeah, exactly.
And going back to maybe seeing, okay, well, maybe there's something that needs to be addressed of why I'm not hitting my goals.
Yeah.
That is something that's a little bit deeper that needs some healing around.
Or maybe the person that you have relied on is too easy on you. I mean, there's that side of it too.
Yeah.
Cheerleader is great, but sometimes it does need to be a little bit tougher, and someone that'll just kind of say, hey, you need to follow through. Care enough about yourself to follow through this year.
And that reminds me too, and I can't remember if it was Joe Dispenza. Anyways, I'll think about it, but about who you surround yourself with, like the top 5 people you surround yourself with reflect who you are. So if you're wanting to go of a higher caliber, well, then guess what? You're going to want to surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up versus pull you down.
Yeah. Millie, will you be in my 5? Will you be in that?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
I'll be in your top 5.
I mean, why wouldn't you want to hang out with a girl in a Santa hat, right?
I don't know. I'm digging that sweatshirt.
Well, Millie, I want to be respectful of your time today. Thank you for carving out another moment of your morning and your busy December, like all of us, to be here today. Like I said, I just feel like there's always just a phrase or a concept that Millie hits me in the guts with, and today was no exception. So if you are not following her, please go over and find her on Instagram. She's over on Facebook. We'll put all of this in the show notes as well. And can I let the cat out of the bag about what you have coming up? Do you want to say something about it, or is it super top secret?
Well, it's not a concrete date, but I know when this airs, it probably is going to be around that time. But I am going to be doing a masterclass around New Year's goals setting and how to help get your mindsets and maybe even energetically get more aligned with those goals to help you be more successful in January. And again, working on giving yourself some grace in the process and helping you be in more of the present moment. So keep a lookout for that. If you join me over on all my social platforms, obviously I will be plastering that stuff all over there. And also I am working in January on launching my Decode to Thrive program, which is my signature one-to-one offer, where I'm going to be offering a 8-week program for working moms who are looking to really do the deeper inner work. So
I didn't know you were doing that. That's a surprise.
Yeah, I know Sarah didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, that's new to me. I'm excited for that. Good for you for doing that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for being here today. Like I said, we'll put everything in the show notes, but I just want to wish everybody a really happy, healthy, peaceful, and fun. Let's have some fun this holiday, right? Take the pressure off and just enjoy every little moment, the quiet ones, the busy ones, the crazy ones. It all goes so fast. And especially when you're a mom, I think you find that out. So enjoy, everybody. I'm grateful for you for being here. I'm grateful for your friendship, Millie. Everybody needs a little more Millie in their life. I will continue to say that. So thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and happy holidays.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.